Season 3. Oh boy! We're back on another direct-to-video adventure with my two favorite cartoon animals, Boog and Elliot. And oh, look at this! It's brought to us by the same guy that would later be one of the directors of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Oh, my favorite.
Okay, in all seriousness, I have seen the previous two open seasons and they are pretty bad, but just ordinary bad as animated films go. The first is just your dumb typical kids cartoon, while the second is your regular direct-to-video sequel that's inferior to the original. They are of poor quality, yes, but they are also easily forgettable, whose awfulness isn't uncommon to find. But then there's number 3. I've heard many tales from those who experience all of the open season movies that this sets the bar even lower than the previous two. In fact, some say that it is the worst out of all the movies. If that's the case, then I think we're in for a painful ride. But now that we're going in the open season circus, will we find that those warnings could actually be wrong about this one? Or will this feel like a movie made by a bunch of clowns? Let's find out. The story. Well, what do you know? Our favorite animals decided to go to the circus for their third big adventure, because ripping off the Madagascar movie seemed like a pretty good idea to continue this franchise. Wait, I'm sorry, what? What do you mean Open Season 3 came first? What do you mean it was released a little less than 2 years before Madagascar 3? Oh, no. I am not gonna believe that Madagascar copied Open Season for their third installment. I'll just consider that as a coincidence. Anyways, if it's not to be like Madagascar, then how did Boog and Elliot found themselves in the circus? Well, it's actually because the bear is involved in a Prince and the Pauper scenario, where Boog switches places with a very similar looking bear in the hopes that a new environment can give his life the boost he's looking for. Unsurprisingly, coming from a direct-to-video sequel to Open Season, it is a very poorly handled retelling of The Prince and the Pauper, as it barely knows where to properly focus the story. Technically, the central figure is Boog, as he tries to impress this new girl bear in the circus, while everything else that takes most of the feature either serves as pointless filler to see some of the recurring characters do dumb gags, or just build up for the grand finale of the film where all the other animals try to rescue Boog during the circus show. In fact, the side plot with the pets is literally just that. They start right off the bat proclaiming that they gotta go save Boog from the circus. Even with the other half of the Prince of the Pauper story, it's just Boog's replacement being a jerk that only changes his attitude at the very end to give everyone a happy ending.
What difference does it make? You'll all do what I say. I'm your Boog now. Boog.
In other words, what makes the story a massive mess is that it doesn't care about the important elements of this kind of plot. It doesn't want to explore character development or to deliver a moral of not to judge a book by its cover. Instead, all it wants to do is give Boog a girlfriend and deliver a whole bunch of terrible jokes coming from the cast, in which there are too many for this movie to handle, resulting in most of the film to feel like a waste of time and the whole experience to just feel grueling. On a side note, I'd also like to add that it is possible that this movie can count as terribly outdated, and I don't mean by having old pop culture references. I feel like this movie nowadays would be heavily looked down upon for presenting a circus featuring animals that doesn't address the suggestion of animal abuse, especially showing the owners using whips to make the animals do as they say.
Right foot up.
Left foot up. Slower.
Faster. Jump.
Squat. Kick.
Some could argue that it's because it was made before this issue was taken seriously, but considering that this was released in late 2010, there is no denying that it should have known better. While the story may present Boog switching places, it only makes the viewers want to be switching movies. The animation. Yes, I know I shouldn't go hard on the animation. After all, it is a very low-budget movie released just 2 years after its predecessor that's a direct-to-video sequel to an animated franchise that very few people are even aware that it exists. No one should expect high-class art coming from this. But But still, though.
He sure looks terrible.
Of course he looks terrible.
What doesn't look terrible in this movie? I'm not pinning the blame onto the animators or the people in charge of the visuals. It's just that it's obvious that they were not given the resources necessary to even make a somewhat appealing looking movie. It's bad enough that the franchise already set itself a low bar with its uncomfortably strange visuals, but now it just looks like it gave up on even trying. One of the biggest consequences for its extremely low budget is that now the textures are either completely messed up or just non-existent. There's nothing that feels like what they should represent. It makes everything feel artificial or not even realistic to the point where even in a cartoon world, the viewers would question on how any of the physics work. It makes it even worse when it tries to create effects. While it is true that it does keep it to a minimum to just some lighting and a few extra elements like fire and water, it's most noticeable with Alistar's continuous spitting where it looks gross for all the wrong reasons. Sure, it's mainly for comedy purposes, but again, nothing looks like what they should feel, so who knows what's coming out of his mouth?
They are muy macho. Dog lied so you would help him escape.
When it comes to the negatives of the other elements of the animation, it's mostly the same as the other movies, like limited and rigid character animation that makes the bad jokes even less effective, the minimalism that makes the environments feel small and empty due to not being able to afford to make the backgrounds feel bigger, and weird designs that are not pleasant to look at with the way the cast is all distorted. The only positive thing that I could find regarding the visuals is that the designs on some of the new characters do look good, like Ursa and Alistar. They got a pleasant and fun look onto them, but too bad it's being used for an open season movie. There might have been a push to make this look good, but with the materials and resources it had, there was no way anyone could make this animation even look halfway decent. The characters. The original already set up a forest load of characters, and the second added in some new pets into the mix. The bad news is that the third film is the kind that keeps adding in new characters to the roster to the point that now there's just too much to handle. While there are only a few that have a significance to the story, the rest are thrown in because, well, they were there last time, so they gotta be here too. Let's just get into the characters that do matter here, beginning with Boog. As the only single guy on his part of the forest, he's upset that his friends had to spend time with their spouses and kids instead of him, which led him to swap places and get himself into the circus. While he was looking for a place to not be lonely, he mainly got to where he is out of his own sheer idiocy. Guess hanging out with Elliot too much made him a lot dumber, like getting a disease, which I think it established that it could be a real thing.
He's really lost it.
Could be stress.
Could be mad bear disease.
It could be stupid deer disease.
Seriously? Is that going around?
The bear in which he switched with is Doug, a self-centered and cold-hearted grizzly that just wants to be treated like a king. He takes advantage of other characters' stupidity and, that's it. He's a jerk because why else would the animals desperately want Boog back in the forest? For the other circus animals, there's Alistar that helps out Boog to adapt to his new circus environment, and Ursa, the love interest that gradually grows fond of him. Other than that, good luck finding a purpose for the rest of the cast. As I've said before, the dogs and cats are just built up to the end of rescuing Boog, while the forest creatures are mainly just used for the purpose of a joke. And then there's Elliot, who is unfortunately multiplying and now has kids. Elliot himself is still the hateably dumb and pointless comic relief, along with his son Elvis, while his daughters, Gisela and Giselita, are the smart ones who first catch that Doug is not Boog. Now, there is one thing I can find that is actually good about this movie. As terrible as it can be, at least it does have some good voice acting. While the materials they were given are just absolute garbage, they do deliver a solid performance to try and make the most out of what they were given. Does it help this movie to make it kind of redeemable? No, wait, this is hopeless. But I do acknowledge that there are people who did put in the effort to do their job and have fun with it. But as good as the actors can be, the characters only end up making things worse to turn this circus into chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if some tell me, it's a direct-to-video sequel, what else do you expect? Yeah, but even at that, I expected something that has a bit of a higher standard than this. Open Season 3 goes even lower than the previous two to the point where it becomes inexcusably bad. Even if this is an open season sequel, even if it wasn't intended for a big screen release, it doesn't forgive that the experience of watching this feels more like a waste of time and even excruciating. The writing is a joke, the story is a disaster, the circus motif is outdated and awkward, the animation looks like it can't afford to be finished, and there are too many characters that are either too stupid or worthless. While Madagascar 3 may be released after this one, I recommend to watch that film instead, as it is essentially the better version. Regardless of how you may feel about that franchise, I'm sure you'll have a better time with that instead of the third open season. This is one circus act that really did fall apart, and that's the kind of act that ends up with the AniMat's seal of garbage. Guess the only thing I can do now is just hope that it doesn't get worse with Scared Silly. Hey guys, this is AniMat's. I would like to start things off by giving out a huge thanks to Ryan Walterson, whose amazing support on Patreon allowed him to get some amazing rewards, including this one, where he asked me to go and review Open Season 3. And yeah, I think I am a believer now. I really do understand why many people say that Open Season 3 could indeed be the worst of the open season films, because wow, it's bad. Like, I am aware that the previous two films that I have seen so far, like, yeah, they've already set the bar low, but then there's this one that, like, it goes even deeper. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that the filmmakers couldn't find a good idea to execute a third open season movie or something like that, but it's almost incredible how it actually does end up becoming this bad, like going down to a standard even lower than your typical direct-to-video sequel. But there is one thing that I would really like to know, not just from Open Season 3, but also I'd like to know from Open Season 2 as well, and I would love to know, what is the budget of these movies in particular? Now, I am very aware that the first open season has a budget of an estimate $85 million, which, considering the look of the film and how that movie is, it kind of shocks me a little bit that it is that expensive. But when it comes to the two sequels, like Open Season 2 and Open Season 3, and I'm not going to count Scared Silly because I'll save that for the time that I might eventually get into that one, but with 2 and 3, I really would love to know the budget, because I think that could possibly be the main reason onto how those movies ended up becoming so bad, because the budget is so ridiculously low that the filmmakers couldn't really do much in order to work with that kind of budget, that they were so limited that they had to be held back so much. And not just in terms of the animation, but even in terms of the creativity, like even with the writing, where they are limited about what they can do and what they cannot do in terms of the execution. So I would really love to know what are the budgets of those films, because it would not surprise me at all if it only hits the 7-digit mark, if like each of those films costs like $7 million, $5 million, or $8 million each. That would not be surprising at all, but I do know that it is a key factor onto the execution of how these movies are, and with 3, with what I've just seen, wow, that is just so bad. But anyways, alright, now I am done with Open Season 3, I can move that out of the way, so now it is time I can move on to the, jeez, what the fridge is with that light? Okay, I get it, what the fridge is? What? No, what? Real? What? animation hat, how did you get back? Oh. Holy crap, it's back! I haven't used this thing, I haven't used this thing in a long time, but, well, wow, okay, well, I guess duty calls, but it looks like the animation hat is back. I could get back into drawing an animated film for AniMat's Classic Reviews. I mean, wow! I can't believe it, but it's back! Oh my, wow, I was honestly not prepared for this moment, but, alright, but in all seriousness, though, by the time I will do an upcoming update vlog, which, I will say, by the time that this is released, it will be coming out soon, but, I will explain more with what I'm about to do with the comeback of the animation hat, but the important thing is, though, is that it is back, so I'll just start things off. Before I actually use it once again after all this time, I would just like to go and start things off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Ryan and you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards, including but not limited to watching my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film that you would like me to review, and I would finally put onto the animation hat that I could use this once again, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Oh my god, I haven't done this in so long. You know, I just gotta say, don't be surprised if I have to go and pick several of these, because, like, I've done so many different reviews that, like, I might end up drawing some that I've already done a review for, and, like, I'll have to go and pick again and again until I get something new, so we'll see with this one. Maybe it's something I've done, maybe I haven't, but anyways, the next review shall be... Well, I did not do this one. Oh, I did not do this one, and oh my god, oh, this is one that, I remember seeing as a kid, and I did enjoy it then, but will I still enjoy it now? Well, that's what we're about to find out, but oh my god. You know, and wow, what a coincidence, actually, considering that, along with this movie, with what I'm about to review, the animation hat is back in action, and so is this.
Oh, you're right! I've been a complete failure!